Have you ever stepped into a bustling, echoing international airport and just immediately felt that familiar spike of anxiety? Yeah, you are definitely not alone. I mean, between the massive crowds, the confusing signs, and that constantly ticking clock, airports can feel completely overwhelming, especially if you're trying to navigate the whole shebang in a second language. But today we are going to change all of that. Welcome to our explainer. Okay, let's dive into this because we are going to transform that incredibly stressful airport experience into a predictable, totally manageable adventure. By the end of this, you are going to have the exact English phrases you need to handle literally every single step of your journey with total confidence. You see, an airport isn't really just some giant, chaotic building. Think of it more like a linear series of predictable milestones. We start right at hour 1 with check-in. Then hour 2 is security, hour 3 is all about navigating to the gate, and finally hour 4, getting on the actual plane. We're going to conquer this journey together, literally milestone by milestone. So, here is your pre-flight checklist. 1. Check-in and luggage. 2. Security and passport control. 3. Navigating the gate. 4. On the plane. And 5 are essential vocabulary and phrases. Let's get right to it. Starting off with Section 1, check-in and luggage. This is our starting line. I want you to picture walking right up to that check-in desk. You want to set a smooth, super prepared tone for your entire trip, right? So you step up and confidently say, "I'd like to check in, please." Just hand over your documents and say, "Here is my passport, and I have an e-ticket." Now, to make your flight way more comfortable, definitely ask, "Can I choose my seat?" Or even better, get specific, "Can I have a window or aisle seat?" And hey, for total peace of mind, just ask, "Is my flight on time?" Knowing exactly how to fire off these questions takes the pressure off right from the get-go. Now, what's really interesting about this next part is that universal panic we all feel when we heave our bag up onto that scale, right? Like, is it going to be too heavy? Let's clear up the terminology real quick. Your larger bag is your checked luggage or your suitcase. You really got to pay attention to the weight limit so it isn't overweight. And if you packed delicate things, make sure to tell them fragile items inside. Now, your smaller bag, that's your hand luggage, also known as a carry-on. If you are ever unsure about a specific bag, just hold it right up and ask, "Can I take this on board?" All right, moving into Section 2, security and passport control, the obstacle course. Okay, take a deep breath here. You've dropped off your bags, we're at the high stress point, but the security line actually moves fast because the officers use really standardized commands. Knowing them ahead of time absolutely keeps you from being the person holding up the line. Listen closely for the officer telling you to take off your shoes, or be proactive and ask, "Should I take out my laptop?" And remember the golden rule. Liquids must be in a plastic bag. Then they'll usually point and say, "Please put your items in the tray." Once everything is safely on the belt, the final instruction is to simply walk through the scanner. Nice, deliberate, calm, and easy. You've got this. But then comes the most intimidating moment for a lot of international travelers, stepping up to that customs officer's booth. They look down at your passport, then they look right up at you, and they ask this exact question: "What is the purpose of your visit?" So, how would you handle this right now? So the crucial point is keeping your answers concise and accurate. Quick answers get you through passport control completely effortlessly. Just clearly say, "I'm here for tourism," or "I'm here for business." You'll want to state exactly how long you're staying and where, like the name of your hotel. You can even offer instant proof by saying, "This is my return ticket." Finally, if you are passing through customs with your bags, just confidently state, "I have nothing to declare." Boom. Done. Which brings us to Section 3. Navigating the gate, the waiting game. Congratulations, the absolute hardest part is officially over and you are finally in the terminal. But terminals are huge, right? We want to prevent that absolute nightmare of wandering around aimlessly. So if you're lost, just stop someone and ask, "Where is the boarding gate?" Or specifically, "Where is gate 12? Once you're there, figure out when to line up by asking, "What time is boarding?" Or if you see a huge crowd forming, "Has boarding started?" Definitely check your ticket and ask, "What group am I in?" so you board at the perfect time. And of course, always be ready to say, "This is my boarding pass." I do have to bring up a quick pro tip here, though. Sometimes travel schedules hit a bump. It happens. You need to be able to recognize these universally dreaded announcements immediately if they pop up on the screens or come over the loudspeaker. The flight is delayed simply means you'll be waiting a bit longer. Grab a coffee. But the flight is canceled? That means you need to speak to the desk about rebooking right away.
Spotting these phrases early gives you a massive head start on making new plans.
All right, moving on to section 4. On the plane, the final stretch.
You made it! You've walked down that jet bridge and you are officially onto the airplane. Settle in, take a breath, and let the pilot do all the heavy lifting from here. Mastering just a few polite requests to the flight attendant can make these hours in the air incredibly comfortable. Show your ticket and ask, "Where is my seat?" Now, if the flight isn't super full, you might politely ask, "Can I change my seat?" Once you're up in the air, don't be afraid to ask for what you need. "Can I have some water, please?" Or "Could I get a blanket?" You can check your connectivity by asking, "Is there Wi-Fi on board?" And keep track of your schedule by asking, "What time do we land?" And finally, Section 5, Essential Vocabulary and Phrases, the Survival Kit.
Let's completely cement your new airport fluency with a rapid-fire vocabulary survival kit. Think of these as your foundational building blocks. First up, the boarding pass. This is your official document that actually allows you to step onto the plane. It's got your gate, your seat number, your boarding group. It is literally the one piece of paper or, the barcode on your phone that you absolutely must not lose. Next is the terminal. This is the main building where departures and arrivals actually take place. Understanding the word terminal is like your secret key to navigating those massive, confusing airport maps. If your flight leaves from Terminal 3, you know exactly which building to head toward, long before you even start looking for your specific gate. And last but definitely not least, baggage claim. When you land, this is the area where you go to pick up that checked suitcase. This is exactly where you might ask someone, "Where can I claim my baggage?" Or, in the rare worst-case scenario, it's where you calmly walk up to the desk and say, "I lost my luggage." Knowing exactly how to find your luggage quickly is that absolutely crucial final step to actually starting your vacation. Well, look at that. We've covered check-in, we've completely conquered security, we've found the gate, and we settled right into our seats. You are now fully armed with the essential English phrases to handle any international airport with total ease. You can honestly leave that anxiety behind and just focus on the pure excitement of the trip. So now that you officially speak the language of the airport, where will your next ticket take you? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and hey, safe travels out there.